Hope it's lime, ice. Talk about sounding delicious. All right, I'm gonna prop this microphone up on top of this Coke can. Is this Diet Coke? I'm not obsessed with this taste. This isn't real Coke. This is from Aldi. And I'm tasting the difference. We're gonna not do that ever again. I'm not interested in this really. So on December 3rd, I watched No Other Land, which is a documentary I'm sure you guys have heard of. It's about the Palestine-Israel conflict in the West Bank. And then on December 4th, I watched Orwell 2 + 2 = 5. And then December 5, I watched It Was Just an Accident by Jafar Panahi. And then December 8, I watched No Other Choice. So it was kind of just like an influx of the political state of the world and also the economic state of the world, not to quote Jaden Smith, but I mean, he really was on the money with that one. But it just, I've kind of been sitting with that for a little while, but I wasn't like posting anywhere consistently or anything like that to really like say anything. But I'm going to read a little something from some things that stuck out for me in Orwell 2 + 2 = 5. I believe this is from his book Why I Write, not from like 1984 or Animal Farm or anything. But he says, no book is genuinely, and I'm sure you guys have heard this, but no book is genuinely free from political bias. The opinion that art should not have anything to do with politics is itself a political attitude. And then he goes into a society becomes totalitarian when its structure becomes flagrantly artificial. That is, when its ruling class has lost its function but succeeds in clinging to power by force or fraud. And then he goes into something that kind of, that's the part that I'm really struggling with, as he says, but to be corrupted by totalitarianism. One, we do not have to live in a country that is totalitarian. And the part of me, I do feel like an American. I'm not an immigrant, and my parents aren't immigrants. Like, my family's from America. And that in of itself feels conflicting to say, because everyone here is an immigrant technically, and we're not natives of this land, and we are, my apartment that I sit on is on stolen land, and that's like a difficult thing to find a solution to, if that makes sense. And that kind of reminds me of No Other Land as well. Is there's a conversation that I forgive me, I don't know their names, but the Palestinian, let me look it up. I believe one's name is Yuval and Basil. Yeah. Okay, so Basil and Yuval are having a conversation, and Basil is like, "What are you gonna do tonight?" And and Yuval answers, and he says, "Well, I'm probably gonna go home and take a shower." And Basil's like, "Well, of course you're gonna go home." And at that point of the conversation, they're at Basil's home in the West Bank that's being destroyed by Israeli soldiers, and Yuval says that he's going to go home, and that response of like, of course you'll go home, it just like, it sticks with me in that's what we do all the time. We fight for things, or we, like what I'm saying that I'm on stolen land, but I'm still here, and I don't know what we do with that. I don't know what the answer is. I think I'm just like, I guess, posing that question to see if there even is an answer. But yeah, it's just interesting. Or we go to protests, and then we come back to our cushy lives, I guess. It almost feels like fraudulent. I know that it's not, because I one person cannot undo all the wrongs of everyone, but I don't know. But one person can be the beginning of, I don't know. So then he says, totalitarianism demands the continuous alteration of the past. And that's also something that I've been reading in How Fascism Works, which I bought at the same time that I bought On Tyranny. And I read On Tyranny, and then I was like, oh, I can't read this back to back. Like, I just can't do it. But I thought On Tyranny was a very digestible, easy book. My friend has it right now, but when she's done with it, I think it's something that I'm going to carry around with me, just because I don't know where we're headed. But in fascism, in How Fascism Works, they're talking about the mythic past, and it's just so, I don't know. It's just like I didn't know about a lot of this stuff, so, and maybe a lot of people grew up knowing this, but. And we've always heard the phrase like history repeats itself. History repeats itself. We know that, but I didn't realize how clear and almost point for point that it does. It's almost to the point where I'm like reading this and I'm like, if I swapped out words, this is exactly what's going on right now. And it's disheartening for sure. So here's the part from the Orwell documentary that literally like knocked me out when I heard it. And I think it's like pretty close to the beginning of the documentary. But it's talking about the lower upper middle class. And my handwriting is like so bad on this. I was trying to like scribble it. It's like half in cursive. But bear with me if I can't like fully read it. But the lower upper middle class. People in this class owned no land, but they felt that they were landowners in the sight of God, and kept a semi-aristocratic outlook by going into the professions and the fighting services rather than into trade. To belong to this class when you were of the 400-pound-a-year level was a queer business, for it meant your gentility was almost purely theoretical. Small boys used to count the plum stones on their plates and foretell their destiny by chanting army, navy, church, medicine, law. Theoretically, you knew all about servants and how to tip them, although in practice you had one, at most two servants. Theoretically, you knew how to wear your clothes and to order a dinner, although in practice you never could afford to go to a decent tailor or a decent restaurant. Theoretically, you knew how to shoot and ride, although in practice you had no horses to ride and not an inch of ground to shoot over. It was this that explained the attraction of India, more recently Kenya, Nigeria, etc., for the lower upper middle class. The people who went there as soldiers and officials did not go there to make money, for a soldier or an official does not want money. They went there because in India, with cheap horses, free shooting, and hordes of black servants, it was so easy to play at being a gentleman. A totalitarian state, in effect, is a theocracy, and its ruling class, in order to keep its position, has to be thought of as infallible. From a totalitarian POV, history is something to be created rather than learned. Good God. It's just... I mean, even the Make America Great Again, this again is literally a mythic past. It did not happen, and they are creating history, and they're altering history. And in every all roads lead back to 1984. I literally, and I know for people that read this growing up, or they had it assigned to them in school or whatever. I mean, at my school, they didn't have it assigned to us. We had none of the important books that you're supposed to read assigned to us. But even if it was, I probably wouldn't have read it because I was not a good student and I wasn't reading the books that they were telling us to read. But now I am, and literally everything that is happening in this world, I'm like, dang, that man wrote about this. Like, 2 + 2 = 5. Like, but it's not funny, is it? It isn't. It's like, you have to laugh, but I can't even actually. So, yeah. let me go to my notes from No Other Land. But they shouldn't forget how once they too were weak and they suffered like this. The one that really sticks with me, the quote from No Other Land, is he says, "Aren't you afraid of God?" And that's the question that I really do have, like, every single day with these fake Christians. And I don't feel bad saying that. I don't feel like it's hypocritical or anything like that. I think that, Christians can be flawed individuals, but I do not believe the people right now in power that are claiming that they're Christians. I do not believe that they're Christians. I don't believe that they believe in Jesus. Because if they did, I do not think they'd be acting the way that they are. And I think that they're truly evil. And I think that they're taking the Lord's name in vain, and that's something that's been done in history time and time again. And the common Christian should be able to recognize that, but for some reason they're not able to. And I don't think that it's a lack of comprehension skills. I think it's a lack of giving a gaff, and that's something that I just can't rock with. And I don't respect them. I think I respect the ones more that are confident. Like, they are like, yeah, I vote for Trump. I'm like, okay, well, at least you're standing on business. I still don't, I don't mess with you. But at least I don't know. But the people that drive me the craziest are the ones that are like, well, I don't have to tell you who I voted for. Or, well, they just keep quiet. They're embarrassed about it, or they're nervous about it. They're scared about it. I'm like, what are you scared for? You did something. Stand on that. I don't understand. Either you feel bad about your decision because you did something wrong and did it anyway. Somehow that's even worse to me. But then the other people, I think that they know that they are kind of committing an act of evil in some way. They know that they did it just because of the financial benefits for them, or they did it because they know that they want to be in a position of supremacy over somebody else. That, knowing that, and then still hiding it and trying to play both sides, I think is just absolutely just vile work. Honestly, I can't stand it. So anyways, that's just kind of the vibe that I'm in. But so basically I just wanted to say that, because I was reading How Fascism Works, and all these other days that I kind of talked about what I was thinking about that day, but part of me today was well, you can't say stuff like that on the internet. That's ridiculous. I cannot believe the censorship that's going on. And I mean, that's just the beginning. That's how it works, is the fear and the paranoia. I mean, the Nazis created a fear state to control and make people obedient to them. And we're kind of falling in line, I think, or I'm open to discussion, but by continuing to use these platforms that are censoring people, I feel in some way we're falling in line with their agenda. I guess there's some people that maybe still want their content pushed out on these places and are hoping for the best, but I'm how can I say F, Meta, and then still be using Instagram? That feels, you know what I'm saying? And especially with TikTok, I get the ads that they're pushing. I'm getting Turning Point USA ads. I'm getting weird stuff that I've never gotten before, and hasn't even been enacted yet. So I don't know. I'm getting so much AI stuff, And I'm not of the mindset. I do think AI could have been used in very beneficial ways, because I know that there was a push against, like, Photoshop and visual effects back in the day, because they're like, we don't want to replace other people. But there is a way to do these things in an ethical fashion. Like, there's ways that AI can assist people's actual jobs to have their workflow be easier rather than replacing people. But I think I personally am not using it in any capacity other than the ways that they force you to use it within some of these apps. But even in ways that would be helpful to me, I feel like that's kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of like asserting myself in some way. Like, I understand AI tools in some way can be beneficial and not detrimental. But I think because of the extreme use that people are using it at, I feel like I'm just like, I don't want to use it at all as kind of a protest, I guess. And yeah, asserting myself in small ways, I guess. That quote really stuck with me from In the Heights, the Lin-Manuel Miranda musical and John M. Chu movie, from, I think it's the grandma character. She says, I think it's when she says, but sings Paciencia y Fe, she says, oh no, this is when she had the embroidered napkin. Oh gosh, it's such a, I love that movie. It literally brings me to tears. I mean, it doesn't take much to bring me to tears, but it's just interesting that I feel like I connect so much with that movie, even though I have no shared history with like any of these people. But I think it's a powerful story about the immigrant experience in Washington Heights specifically. But she says we have to assert ourselves in small ways to show them that we exist. And I think that I'm kind of just trying to carry that with me in many facets. And whether that's not using AI, or if that's me supporting movie theaters, or if that is me talking about things that I don't typically talk about, mostly because I usually don't like talking about politics in general, because I don't feel all that, I don't think that I know all that much. And I'm always open to hearing other people's like point of views and stuff like that. But I don't refrain from talking about politics because of fear. It's more so like I don't want to talk about something that I don't know about. But there is stuff that I know about, and I know that I have a strong moral compass, and it's almost too strong sometimes, to the point that I am like over empathizing with things or over analyzing things and stuff like that. So I think that I am on the right side of history. I am not like nervous about that. I'm like, in my mind, I think if you're nervous about being quote unquote canceled over a behavior of yours, perhaps that's something that you might need to look into. I understand the fear of being canceled over a false opinion somebody has over you, because I do think that a lot of people are just more concerned with, they're not actually concerned with accountability. They're just like, they just want to run with the narrative that they want. And that does suck. But I think the truth will typically prevail. And I think people seek the truth, and they can kind of see through the BS. This is the silliest comparison that I have, but actually, I'm not even going to say it. I'm not going to. Yeah, I'm just not interested in in the bread and circus that they're offering for us anymore, because it's not even good. Like, they used to have real good, like, bread and circus. It's not even good anymore. So whatever. I'm not going to be eating all those calories, right? For nothing. I'm going to also read the end of On Tyranny, because it's kind of, I think that's how I feel about America. The president is a nationalist, which is not at all the same thing as a patriot. A nationalist encourages us to be our worst and then tells us we are the best. A nationalist, although endlessly brooding on power, victory, and defeat and revenge, wrote Orwell, tends to be uninterested in what happens to the real world. Nationalism is relativist, since the only truth is the resentment we feel when we contemplate others. A patriot, by contrast, wants the nation to live up to its ideals, which means asking us to be our best selves. A patriot must be concerned with the real world, which is the only place where his country can be loved and sustained. A patriot has a universal value, standards by which he judges his nation, and always wishes it well, and wishing that it would do better. A nationalist will say it can't happen here, which is the first step toward disaster. A patriot will say it could happen here, but that we will stop it. I do feel kind of patriotic, and I'm struggling with that because of what I spoke about Native Americans being the true American, but I do feel like this is the only place that I call home, that my family calls home, that we've been here for a minute. We were brought here, and I feel disgusted by what the country has turned into just in front of my eyes, which is only 27 years. And I've only been looking around for 15 years or something. Like, I'm disappointed by America, and I think that it genuinely does hurt, because I don't have anywhere else. Like, I don't have relatives in other countries. I don't visit people in other, I don't have any country heritage. And I do feel very I do feel American. I want to, live here. I want to die here. I want to be buried in Michigan. I love America, and I hate what greedy, filthy, nasty pedophiles, rapists, criminals have done to America and have done over history, I guess. And I guess that's what America was built on back then. But I would hope that the other principles it was built on could prevail, and that we could try to, we can't undo what they did to Native Americans and to Black people in this country, and we won't be able to undo what they're currently doing to the Hispanic communities in America. But I do hope that we can stop it and then, give reparations or do something. I don't know. I feel like I see, it's difficult because I'm saying I see the foundation that we were built on, which was freedom, but we were built on blood. So I don't know. That's something that I'll have to ponder on a little bit. But I do think the true, I don't know what to call us, the true United States of American spirit is not the spirit that is being represented in the White House currently. And I think that it is a constitutional right for me to be able to say that. Because I think to critique something is to be, you don't critique something that you don't care about. And I care about America. I care about the American people. I care about the Native American people. I care about the immigrants. And I care about the future Americans. I care about the kids in America. And I think that when people actually do, it's evident in their actions, and that's not the actions that we're seeing from our current government right now. And yeah, and I think that when it pushes people to the edge, I think you got to start asking some serious questions. We'll just go with that. And it's definitely, there's definitely going to be some serious questions coming up. So, I don't know. I don't have any answers. I don't even know if I had like a real sentence there. But, and I know this isn't like the ideal like format, I guess. I think for me personally, I've always kind of had a superpower of being okay with not knowing the answers. I think because I was bad at school, and like I think because I'm like a little bit bubbly or whatever, people just kind of treat me as if I'm stupid. So I'm aware that they treat me that way. So I've always kind of felt a license. It just always felt easier for me to be like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Can you explain it to me? Or like, I don't know. There's genuinely things that I did not learn growing up because I didn't pay attention in school. So I'm just like, wait, I didn't learn that. I never read that book. Tell me. And I think sometimes people pretend that they know things because they're assumed as intelligent, and they still are. Just because you don't know things doesn't mean that you're not like smart. I don't think, whatever. But like I think there's a great benefit in just saying you don't know the answer to something and you're going to figure it out, or you're going to look to figure it out. Because at the end of the day, if you pretend that you have the answer, then you're never actually going to find the answer because you're not going to be searching for anything. So, I don't know. And that's the same position that I have toward like Christianity and stuff. Like, I think to never question something, you're only going to be at a disadvantage at the end of the day. You're never going to actually find anything out. So, I don't know. So yeah, that's just kind of like what's been on my mind a little bit. It's just like a general bad vibe on every social media platform. So I'm just going to like stay over here low key, and we're going to just vibe over here, and the accounts are going to die. I might just fully delete them too. It's just like the idea of somebody having my username, my name, I hate that. And I've had my Instagram name since Instagram's inception. I had Instagram since it was created as an app. And I followed Justin Bieber and Zendaya immediately. My first follows. So, I don't know. I'm going to wrestle with that for a little bit. Yeah, okay. TTYL, I'll have better vibes tomorrow. I'm not in a bad vibe or anything. I'm just like, how can I giggle? How can I giggle if I just see Dead Man's Wire and I see the future? You know what I'm saying? Oh, wait, that will be my recommendation. Dead Man's Wire, out in theaters right now. Bill Skarsgård, Dacre Montgomery, Cary Elwes. I don't know how to say his name. I know he's in Saw and he's in The Princess Bride. It's directed by Gus Van Sant. He directed My Own Private Idaho and Good Will Hunting and several other movies, but I haven't seen all those. I have not finished My Private Idaho because I started watching it on a shady website, and literally every 1 minute there was a Japanese McDonald's ad, and I was like, I cannot suffer through that. It was 1 minute of the movie, 1 minute of the ad, 1 minute of the, I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. So I'm going to rent it eventually. It's just not on anything. But I it was very good from what I had seen so far. It's Keanu Reeves and River Phoenix, R.I.P. River Phoenix, and yeah, I do need to watch it. But my recommendation for today is Dead Man's Wire. It was a campy time. Bill Skarsgård, he's great. He's just a great actor. Genuinely, I think if he wasn't 6'5", he would have a lot more roles. I think he's so big that he just fits into a certain archetype. But he found his niche, I guess. You know what? Yeah, go off. Like, he always plays. This is the most human he's looked in a movie in a minute. So yeah, who else is in it? Some other people. And then also No Other Choice. That was one of my top movies of last year with Lee Byung-hun. He's in Squid Game. Didn't watch Squid Game, but that's what he's from. And he's one of the voices in K-pop Demon Hunters. So, and I didn't know that until I saw him on stage at the Golden Globes. So that's a really good movie, No Other Choice. Yeah, I think that's all I should recommend today.